Hoka, hey, Alita Army, if that don't get your blood pumping for our girl, nothing will. Welcome to the Alita Livestream. I'm your host, the Muskogee Creek from Denver, Colorado in the United States. My co-host is Angelus. He's from Brisbane and Queensland, Australia. And I have a really super great guest today, and that is Mike Reyes, Mr. Controversy 83 from Cinema Blend. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, it is going well, and I am glad to see you gents again.
It's good to see you, man.
Finally getting on this live stream too. It's like the past couple times I know it's been, I've been kind of not evasive, but I've just been beat, man. But I'm glad to finally make this one. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, well, we're going to have a pretty good discussion here, I think. And actually, Max Tack Dry is going to join us here in a little bit. Anyway, before we get started, though, talking about Alita's speed, strength, and fighting skill, Mike, tell us a little bit about Cinema Blend and what you guys are doing over there now. What projects you got going on?
Well, we're real big on Godzilla versus Kong right now, and that's just
Team Godzilla.
See, I am so neutral. I love them both. Even after watching it, it's like after watching it, I can kind of say Team Godzilla. Just because, as much as I love Kong, Godzilla is the neutral titan. Godzilla had his reasons, and you'll see them when you watch the movie, but it's not like he's just being a jerk, running around messing things up. But yeah, Cinema Blend, we're an entertainment website. We cover movies, news, pop, anime, anything that really crosses into the realm of entertainment. And we've done quite a bit of Alita material in the past, and I kind of wish there was more stuff to report on, because then we would have a lot more to say.
Yeah, it's we're all hoping for the best on that one, So anyway, so well, it's good to have you on, Mike. Really, really great. What's happening, Angeles? What's going on over down under?
Just currently getting pleasantly surprised. But nothing much. Most of everything that I've had to do, especially with social media, has been had to be done from PC because my iPhone's touchscreen needs repairs. Ugh. But it should all be under like factory warranty still, because it's like less than a year old. So
you're on your PC now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Sounding good.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were having trouble with your mic a while there, weren't you?
Yeah. But everything's all running smoothly now. Just gotta essentially after stream stream. I'll have to go to the Apple store and they should pretty much replace it if they can't repair it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anyway, Mike, the way this works, we start out on this topic and we'll get through it. And then after that, it kind of devolves into all kinds of topics, but it's all about Alita. So, it's anything is good here on that.
Oh, de-evolution is my favorite.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started, I guess. We want to talk about Alita's speed, strength, and fighting skill here. And, basically, I've done a couple of videos on this, already. I think probably some of you have seen that. But basically, just a little background on Alita. She is a warrior. She basically was a soldier in the military, the United Republics of Mars. And I believe, Angela, she might be able to help me out here too. I believe she was a warrior when she finally got captured. I've heard some folks say she might have been a high warrior, but I don't know about that. Do you know anything about that? Because I haven't read all the Mars Chronicles yet.
I know they had a ranking system, and I know she was minimum mid-range in the ranks, but I don't know much beyond that and why, but she was definitely part of the Panzerkunst Delta Force, if you want to call it that. So
yeah, she was in the Commer group, I think. Yeah, special ops, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
And that was, I think, volume 2 of Mars Chronicles.
I think so. Yeah, I've gotten that far. I've actually got through three volumes. But don't spoil the rest of it for me. So anyway, but just a little bit about Alita's training. One of the things about Panzerkunst is that it's a lot like regular martial arts you would think of here on Earth. But the main difference, well, there's two actual main differences. Certainly Panzerkunst was actually or specifically developed for cyborgs. So, and of course, Alita was trained in Panzerkunst. And one of the biggest differences between Panzerkunst in terms of techniques and that kind of thing, or at least, in the manga. Granted, this is that we're talking here a fictitious character here, but that's cool. We still love her. But anyway, one of the biggest differences here is that the cyborgs that were trained in Panzerkunst actually learned how to fight in zero gravity. And that is something that no martial art on earth actually does. I mean, where they're all in 1G, when they learn how to do their techniques and that kind of stuff. Whereas the difference is that with cyborgs, in the armed military specifically, they were taught, to fight in outer space or in very low gravity. And I think all of you remember that scene in the movie where she was fighting on the moon. And it would apply similarly to very low gravity too. Probably someone who's proficient at karate, and maybe you could talk about this a little bit, Angelus. It would probably be quite an adjustment to fight in very low gravity than it would be to fight on Earth's gravity. Would you not agree with me on that one, Angelus?
Well, not that it's ever happened before, but I'm not adverse to weird training techniques. One of which that just came to mind is, have you ever tried to fight on a trampoline? And that's probably the closest that you'd be able to sort of simulate of a zero-G environment.
Yeah.
And that just feels so Mr. Miyagi-like in a sense. But yeah, so I mean, if you can learn to fight on a trampoline, then sure, you'd be able to learn to fight on in zero-G gravity.
Yeah.
But the conditions are very different, like being able to set your stance, generate power from that stance, and while you're sort of bouncing around or your weight is unevenly distributed, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
It requires a whole different, not just training, but mindset as well. And yeah.
Mike, do you have any martial arts training at all? I mean, did you take karate as a kid, let's say, or are you still taking karate or kung fu?
I have no martial arts experience whatsoever. The most is, getting Mortal Kombat 2 for the 32X. And even then it was kind of dicey at best.
Well, that's okay. Then you've got some expertise here that we can bring to bear.
So if Alita had freezing powers, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think she has that, but that plasma weapon is pretty.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that is definitely something that I have used in a past write-up, because I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a while back where everyone was saying Mark Hamill should watch Alita Battle Angel. And then the conversation turned to, well, could Alita hold her own against a Jedi and their lightsaber?
Yeah.
And I think she could hold her own, if not win, because of the fact that she is her own power source, and the Damascus blade charged up with plasma is at least equal to the force of a lightsaber. Yeah. But that's getting off of the zero gravity bit. As far as zero gravity is concerned, I would think that if you can train in Panzerkunst in 0G, then doing it in 1G is like nothing.
Yeah.
It's almost like adding an element of difficulty, so that way it just strengthens your prowess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And, by the way, Alita, in her Imaginos body, I don't know if you've read much of the manga or not, Mike, but in her Imaginos body, she is like Thanos level tough. I mean, she can move near the speed of light, and she is, extremely strong. And I've got some stuff coming up toward the end here about how strong she is, even in her berserker body. But she's first, people look at her on the screen, see a little bitty girl, teenage 14-year-old, especially in that doll body. In the berserker body, it's a little different. I think she's around maybe early 20s, something like that. But anyway, in that berserker body, she's, basically, she's pretty tough. I think I agree with you. I think she could, stand up to a Jedi, some of them. I don't know if she could beat somebody like Yoda or not, but definitely she could stand up to many of the Jedi. What you got there, Angels?
Imagine Us Bodies.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, wow. See, I still have to pick up the manga and read it.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, when you start reading the manga, man, I mean, I started reading it, and you just can't put it down. I mean, seriously. I mean, there was one night I was telling them on another stream, that I was having difficulty sleeping, and so I said, well, I'll just get up and read a little bit. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and maybe that'll make me sleepy, So I started reading the manga, and the next thing I knew, it was 5:30. So I mean, it was. Yeah, it was pretty. It's pretty. It just grabs you.
There's something that might be able to talk more about any IP sort of thing where it has like a comic or even just a literature or book background that you've gone either from the book to the movie or movie to the book. Like with Alita, are there any IPs that you have sort of like delved into both sides, or even in Mortal Kombat's case, video game and movie?
There definitely are. Like I've sorry, I know I've started to read the James Bond books. And even just reading Casino Royale like decades ago, well, a couple decades ago, even just reading that, it was very interesting to see what pieces they took from the original novel and what things they decided to modernize and sort of put their own spin on.
Yeah.
And its adaptation is a very interesting beast because even with something like Alita, there's certain inventions that are going to have to happen. There's certain compressions that are going to have to take place. I remember hearing that Motorball was moved up from like a couple books to sort of, goose up the action a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you have whole cloth characters created to kind of give interesting and new scenarios. But from what I always sort of value over straight up adaptation is creativity and adaptation. I don't need, as long as you have like the hallmarks of that story and the important components present, then I'm fine if you introduce some new blood to the mix that makes things interesting and keeps me on my toes as a fan.
Yeah. One of the neat things, not to get too far away from Alita here, but James Bond, I've been watching James Bond for quite a long time, and Mike, you'd be surprised to know how old I am. But anyway, I've been watching James Bond since it originally came out in the 60s. And
oh, wow.
But the whole thing is, he's surprised now. He's got an idea, don't you, Mike?
we call Creaky the Immortal.
Yeah. But anyway, I really like Daniel Craig as James Bond a lot. Because if you've read some of the James Bond movies that Ian Fleming wrote, the books, in those books, James Bond is an athletic person. He's not somebody that you think is just like some Dapper Dan type guy that runs around drinking martinis and is always in a suit and stuff like that, which he is a lot in the books, but he is extremely athletic. And that's what I like about Daniel Craig, in Quantum of Solace, in that the first one he was in, I can't recall the title of it.
That's Casino Royale.
Yeah, exactly. This guy, he was jumping from building to building and chasing one guy, and that is just something you didn't see Sean Connery doing. He just didn't do that, Yeah, but anyway, not to diss Sean Connery. I liked him too, but I really
not a diss at all. He did as much stunt work as he could, and even when you go back to Connery, he was more of a brawler. He was charming, and he did drink, and he wore the suits. Yeah. But at the same time, you go back to the opening of Thunderball. Yes. That is like a merciless thrashing he's given that guy, and it's one of the best openings to a Bond film.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, getting back on Alita. You know, it'd be interesting to see Alita try to take on James Bond. I don't think that fight would last very long, but you know. But anyway, this is actually a Tai Chi move. Oh, first of all, before I get into this, I want to welcome Max Tack Dry. He just joined us. How's it going, Maxie?
Yeah. Oh, God, everything's up in the air, dude. Theoretically, right now I'm recording a podcast with the Movie Seller guys, except it's been rescheduled again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I was a bit like, oh, I'm going to miss out on Creaky and Angelus's live stream. And it's like, no, here I am. So, there you go. G'day, Mike. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're just, like running around like headless chooks because we're having Tilly Lockie on the Radio Chaos live stream tomorrow.
That is fantastic.
Oh yeah, we're excited. I'm real excited about it. I get to manage that stream too. You know, that's going to be great, man. I'm loving it.
April is special guest month by the sound of things because this week we've got Tilly Lockie. Next week we've got Alita Livestream, who was the co-author of the original Alita Battle Angel screenplay with JC.
Yep.
So,
and the first stream of April, we got Mike Reyes on. He's a celebrity. Yeah,
I'm someone, but not that. Wow.
We appreciate everybody who's involved, man, and you're definitely involved.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have a talk with you guys off air about that because that is just I love that.
Yeah, we have a little after stream, party after this. So anyway, getting back to Alita. This is a variation of a Tai Chi move called Snake Creeps Down. And what that is, the real difference in that pose right there and in the Tai Chi pose is that hand that you see that's up in the air is usually turned up, and she kind of puts her fingers together. And what it's meant to do is kind of use it for defensive kind of measures for someone to kick. You can grab their hand or grab their leg easy or something like that. Now, some folks would say that Tai Chi is not a martial art. You can't learn to fight with it. Now, Tai Chi is generally for, general wellness and that kind of stuff for sure. But I tell you, myself being a black belt many years ago, I actually sparred with a guy that was like a 10th degree black belt, and he was a Tai Chi master also. And I could not lay a glove on this guy. And I was a 1st degree black belt when I fought him. So, but anyway, what you got there, Angela? Some more Tai Chi. Yeah. Yep. You see how he's got his hand, the guy in the black gi up there. And you see the guy in that one. That's very much like what Alita's doing, except you see how he's got his fingers pointing down toward the ground. That's to help him catch a kick should someone try to kick him, So anyway.
A fun and educational show, folks.
Yeah, we try to please. Anyway, but that's now this is not a Panzerkunst thing, but I think one of the things we have established is that, Panzerkunst and many martial arts have many of the same movements in them. And we're going to see some of those. There's a few movements in Panzerkunst that are not in, earthly martial arts, but most of the movements that she does in the movie are in earthly martial arts.
Yeah, they probably did that to sort of give everyone a visual reference point where you take it's pretty much like any fantasy fighting style. It's like you'll take an actual earthly style and then just maybe put a couple twists and turns here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You got to realize that Kishiro spent a lot of time thinking about this, and Panzerkunst is supposed to be an evolution of various current fighting styles sort of projected into the future and then melded across the abilities of a cybernetic body as compared to a flesh body. So That's why it's called Panzerkunst. It's armored arts or armor arts, which means the body is much stronger. Therefore, it can do different things to a flesh body.
Yeah, and that's a literal translation, Panzerkunst. It means armor art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's German, So,
Das ist Deutsch.
Yeah, das ist Deutsch. Jawohl. So
Sehr gut.
Sehr gut, yeah. So anyway, and then here's another one that you see in a lot of martial arts styles called the knife hand. Some call it a little bit different, but it's kind of a poking, type of action on that one. And that's definitely in many, earthly martial arts. Oh, and by the way, back to Ray's point about how he was talking about how Panzerkunst has evolved from many other fighting styles. Two that are prevalent in Panzerkunst, a lot of them are Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's style. And if you remember, we got something coming up on that a little bit about that I'll talk about. Is that in the movie, Rosa actually paid tribute to Bruce Lee, and we'll get to that a little bit, how she did that. So anyway, and she was thinking about that. I remember seeing her in an interview where she was talking about Bruce Lee, which it just made me fall in love with her even more. But anyway, but so that's a style you see in a lot of karate, type of, techniques and stuff like that, or karate styles and kung fu styles too. And I think, I don't know, Angeles, you do Taekwondo, don't you?
I do karate as well.
Oh, okay.
It's called Nukite, Nukite, and it's essentially when you can sort of, if you haven't developed enough, where you sort of rigify or like harden your muscles in your fingers, hands, everything, as you're forming a knife hand sort of thing, so that whenever you strike with it, whether it's the pointy end or the side sort of thing, you're hitting hard.
Yeah.
And in this case, if you've got a cybernetic hand, it's going to be even harder still. So
yeah, exactly. And Shaolin monks, when they practice this or variations of this, maybe even this technique too, they spend hours many times just, hitting sand, big old bucket of sand, just driving their hand into it, making their hand tougher and tougher, So, I mean, you can imagine somebody, I mean, you could put an eye out with that thing. So, yeah, exactly.
Literally pounding sand.
You betcha. Okay, here's what I was talking about her doing that, what's called a chain punch. And what that is, basically, this is where she paid tribute to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee did the chain punch, and a lot of styles do a chain punch, and it's called different names. I don't know, Angeles, you might be able to, enlighten us on that too. But I knew when I took karate many years ago, that's what we called it, as a chain punch. And I actually used this one time in a tournament, but it's basically just, throwing a lot of punches in rapid succession, and not just wildly throwing them either. I mean, each punch has a purpose, and that's kind of what she did there. So, but yeah, she paid tribute to Bruce Lee with that chain punch.
With the chain punch, like you mentioned, and especially I like how you mentioned that it's not thrown wildly either. You really can't generate a lot of power with the way that they're chain punching, but at the same time, again, if you're hitting a flesh body, which most of the time we are, like if you're
robots every weekend.
Yeah. If you're constantly hitting someone in the face or nose, and you're like chaining a punch one after the other, hitting them in the face, eventually, like, you're gonna break cheekbones and dislocate noses and gouge out eye sockets and whatnot.
Isn't it more for stunning when you chain punch? You sort of whack, 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 and you stun the person.
Yeah, it's a disorienting type thing, I mean, you start hitting somebody and they can't react, or if they do react to one of the techniques, they're slow because they're behind, So yeah, it does have a little bit of a disorienting, type of feature to it, or result.
And I would also, on Angelus's point, again, bring into the fact that she's a cyborg. So the amount of power that human muscles can produce when chain punching is probably a lot less than what a cyborg can produce from the same thing. Yeah. So I would be expecting, based on what I know of the theory of the power that she can produce and all that sort of stuff, plus also the styles of like Hertz-Heion and things like that. Yeah. She may not need to throw a strongly muscled punch to then put the sonic damage through the armor into the soft, brain portion of the cyborg that she's chain punching. So it may more be a vector rather than the punch being the damage itself. If you get what I mean.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Hertz-Heion, because that's German for heart strike. In her doll body, she could probably to some degree produce that sonic power behind it, but in her berserker body, and particularly in her Imaginos body, she can add an electromagnetic charge to it, which gives it magnifies the power of the punch by many orders of magnitude, so a
railgun punch, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's like a railgun. And that punch, I mean, even in her doll body, she hits you with that punch, hits a human being with that punch, it's probably going to kill him, but if she hits a human being with that punch, say in her berserker body, or even worse than that, if she hits them with her Imaginos body, I mean, it's going to be like an explosion, is what it's going to be, because that punch is extremely potent. Now, that's a little different than a human that ends up a chain punches with a heart strike like that, because that last punch certainly is going to have a little force to it, but it's like Angelus was saying, it's not going to be like she would deliver, because her last punch is going to be a killing punch. It's not going to be just something that's going to knock you out. It's going to, it's over at that point. So.
And that's when you get Quentin Tarantino to direct.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember Sam Peckinpah from years ago? He used to love those bloody movies, didn't he?
Oh.
Yeah, he did. So anyway, that's that, as Maxie was saying, that Hertz-Heion punch, or Heion rather, and that is one of her favorite techniques. She loves that. In the manga, she uses a lot, doesn't she, Maxie?
Oh yes, quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling up the punch she did on Colonel Payne in Last Order. If I can share this for a second.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
This an image an image speaks 1,000 words. This kind of does the job, you might say.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
So job done.
Yeah, game over at that point. Yeah. So
he's not getting that hat back.
No, he is not getting the hat back. He's probably not getting the stomach back either.
Oh no, that's totally done. No.
Yeah.
He is a cyborg, so he's not a squishy human, or else he just would have exploded. But
yeah,
gobbets. I believe they call bits of human that splatter everywhere gobbets.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like something out of Akira.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but
that's the interesting thing, to go off on a tangent for a second about Yukito Kishiro's work, in that not only has he been doing it for 30 years, so it's like a lifetime sort of endeavor, but his art style and also the style of storytelling has morphed over the years, dependent on what is really influencing him at the time. And I suspect that when he was doing The Last Order, he was watching things like Dragon Ball Z and things like that were big in the the early 2000s. So that is sort of like what was happening with his style. It was morphing and changing, and this is very sort of Dragon Ball Z, the big mega punch kind
very
of.
Very much, yeah. I remember on Den's stream, when Where is Den? he would all, Angelus and I would certainly tease him about, Alita being the better waifu than Android 18, but anyway, his thing was, well, she's got a lot more power. She can hit harder and all that. But, that's a pretty good shot right there. That's a pretty powerful punch that she has too, and she's in her Imaginos body there, isn't she, Maxie? I think.
I believe that's Imaginos 2.
Yeah.
Not 2.1 yet. So she's not yet linked to the singularity power source.
Yeah.
Yes.
When she gets
singularity.
When she gets that Imaginos 2.1 body, Thanos or Darkseid don't stand a chance against her. Seriously. I tell people that, DC fans and Marvel fans, that's bull, Yeah, I'm not kidding. We've had a couple of streams on that, about her fighting some of the, or one stream, her fighting some of the, super villains, in DC and Marvel, and it was kind of interesting. But anyway.
Well, it's major overarching spoilers, but she becomes connected to, it's pretty much all covered in Jaya Nice Day's video about, I did a recent one about the group that controls the shield over Mars. I can't remember the name of them, but in that he covers the point that there's a major AI at Earth, which is Arthur or Melchizedek as the sort of overarching name, but the god sort of avatar is Arthur, and then there's Zeus at Jupiter.
Yeah.
And the two of them get together and they get Alita to become their agent. And then she goes off to Venus, and whatever hell happened there, we haven't found out about yet. Yeah. But Jaya was suggesting that, she's obviously got the Fata Morgana from Melchizedek, which ties her into the massive brain computing power that it has. And she's got the it's not subspace. What is it? It's a wormhole connection to the microsingularity powering Jupiter. Yeah. So she's got the power from Jupiter. She's got the brains from Earth, and she's gone to Mars. And he's suggesting that she's supposed to become the AI of Mars.
Oh, and just
that's
so
what he thinks the end point will be.
Yeah, just so Mike knows, Mike, Melchizedek is a super quantum computer, that's like 500 years in advance of what we have quantum computing. So, you can imagine. So anyway.
And it is so advanced that it can basically predict what's going to happen based on all the possibilities that it can calculate.
Yeah.
So it's basically predicting the future.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Great science fiction, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of reminding me of stuff that I'm reading right now.
What are you reading, Mike?
I am reading C. Robert Cargill's Sea of Rust. I don't know if you guys have heard of it yet. It's been around for a while, but I don't know if you've read it. I don't mean to, talk down and say that I'm a literary man, but it's similar stuff that I think you guys are going to want to check out because it's like massive AIs kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna let you. I want you to dive into it.
What's the name of it again?
Sea of Rust, and then there is a prequel coming out next month called Day Zero.
Sea of Rust. I'm gonna write that down.
Sea of Rust and Day Zero, because Day Zero is like the day, literally the moment that robots turn on humanity and they have a choice of whether they want to exterminate or to protect.
Oh, that would be
happens a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of like that I, Robot movie a little bit. It sounds like
kind of. Yeah, it's obviously it's a concept that's really been told through various mediums, and you even look at Alita Battle Angel, and there's still the question of the synthetic versus the organic. And we eventually create these beings that are supposed to be a great help or a great extension of our own lives, but eventually, they become the next second-class citizen. It's like humans get to band against robots now, and then what's next after that? And but it's I'm a huge fan of C. Robert Cargill as a podcaster, and the man co-wrote Doctor Strange. He helped create Sinister. He's just a great guy, and the book is it's just a compelling read.
I put it on the list. Okay, cool.
Is it just me, or does that sound like a lot more like a Terminator than iRobot?
A little bit of both, because the whole thing is like the basic synopsis is like Sea of Rest takes place 30 years after Day Zero. The AIs won, and now the AIs are starting to turn against each other.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that turning against each other is very human-like, if I might say so myself.
Yeah, and it's got a really cool Western tinge to it because, the desertification has kind of ruined parts of the planet. And it's just, it's these, you've got robots that are looking to, robots that are looking to basically, scrap each other for parts in some cases.
Yeah. So it's funny, Mike, Angelus, that you meant rather you mentioned Western, and Angelus and I have talked about this, but, and even Maxie, for many years, my two favorite movies were Jeremiah Johnson and Once Upon a Time in the West. And then Alita came on and supplanted them. So anyway, so that's been a while, those two movies, so anyway.
Not bad company.
Yeah. Now, this is a Panzerkunst move, and this is where she's fighting Gruishka down in the underworld. And basically what she does, and it's kind of a modified move a little bit. The outer thrust in Panzerkunst is where a cyborg launches themselves at their opponent to increase force, of the attack. In this case, she kind of modifies a little bit and pushes him into a wall of rock. So you can see what she did there. And I think you probably remember that scene where that big old boulder falls on top of him, and that's kind of that's a modified, technique of outer thrust. Now, what's interesting about Alita as a fighter, and we saw this when she fought Romo, Nisiana, and Gruishka, in the alley, how she's able to adapt. She's able to put moves together based on what her opponents are doing. So she's not. I don't know if you're familiar with karate very much, but a lot of times, they all learn kata, what's called, or dances, where they just go through the movements, and it's some of it, particularly in Taekwondo, can be kind of rigid, But in this particular case, she is able. It's like free form almost. How she fought those three, and of course we knew what the outcome of that was. She killed two of them and drove the other one back to the underworld. So, but anyway, that outer thrust is very much a unique Panzerkunst move.
With that outer thrust, would you say that you're like the attack, like instead of using the target as a springboard to get away from them, the aim is to actually push them away more, rather than pushing yourself away from them?
Yeah, that outer thrust is meant to, like, when one of the cyborgs launches themselves at you, that adds power, to whatever technique they're using, and they use their legs to drive into their opponent to attack them. In this particular case, that she varied that a little bit to not just push him, but push him against a wall of rock. So, and then she certainly got away from that because the rock was falling down on this guy, and she didn't want to be there when the rock fell on him, so, but yeah, I'd say very much so. It's, normally, in this case, she did use it to get away, from him,
The only reason why I mentioned that is, funnily enough, where was I going with this? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Funnily enough, Kong uses it against Godzilla.
Oh,
I won't say too much more because then it'll sort of spoil the premise in the multiple fights. I'll say that much.
Kong knows Coon stuff.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, imagine if you could turn him into an android.
But yeah, there were
they'll
instances
probably do
where,
it. Give him time.
but there were instances where during his fight with and also let's just part of it was in water, so that's probably as close to 0G as you'll get on Earth. And like there were points in there where he basically uses his leg to I don't know, you would say push Godzilla away, but at the same time, you know, Kong's a pretty strong boy and he's gonna really put the muscle behind those legs and kick him if he could. But
yeah.
So yeah, that's why I mentioned it, because like as soon as you brought up that picture of Alita and Grishka and like recalling the scene and the fight itself, it just sort of, like, I've seen Godzilla versus Kong a few times now, and then it just sort of clicked.
I haven't seen it yet, so I'm dying to see it. So anyway.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, cool. What do we? I know what we're looking at here. This is out of the last order, but
yeah, it took me a whole 5 minutes to find this. I apologize that the conversation has moved on, but I just wanted to show the listeners. This is the avatar form of Melchizedek, which is Arthur, based on Arthur of the Knights of the Round Table, and that's Zeus, the Jovian Quantum Convergence Observation Unit.
Boy.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with him. He's a bit.
No, you don't want to mess with this guy.
Arthur's much
Zeus.
Yeah.
Oh,
and go back.
There's Alita traveling.
Go back one. I want
to
to call out something. Go back. No, the next one after that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is my favorite version of Alita right here. She's got a tail. You know, I love that. You know, that's her Maginot's 2.1 body. So, or is that 2.1 or 2.0, Maxie? I don't recall.
Oh,
2.0, because 2.1 would be after she comes back into the society.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
so that's right. Yeah, it's still 2.0. Yeah, I call that Galley Cat.
Yeah,
the Galley Cat body, because
Galley is what she was called. You know, originally Alita is a name that came along later. So.
Another thing, just drawing reference again and then swinging it back onto Alita, is Independence Day Resurgence, the supercomputer AI, if you will. That is modeled directly from that eye, in a sense. So you could say that Independence Day almost took, I don't know if it was on purpose or just like a sheer coincidence, but probably the latter. But it's just amazing how either that was what science fiction was back in the day, or Kishiro was just ahead of his time. But again, probably a little bit of both.
No science fiction story evolves in a vacuum. They all ref each other, and anybody who gets upset about that just doesn't understand how these things work.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yep, that's right.
Well, that's why character is so important.
So anyway,
you can ref something and use it in a different way, and it's still unique.
Yeah, and again, you know, you have a good, like, if you have a strong, compelling character like an Alita or a Doc Edo, and you can really turn like a, you know, this is almost like a Pinocchio myth.
Mm. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been compared to Pinocchio.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Not necessarily positively, but.
So anyway, this is Alita's what they call personal style or own wisdom, and what that is she's got that plasma weapon, and of course there's been some debate of whether she has to have the Damascus blade for it. This just shows that she doesn't need the Damascus blade to actually use her plasma weapon. I mean, in the in the OVA, she actually, I think everybody here, well, maybe, I don't know if you've seen it or not, Mike, but in the OVA, she actually splits Grishka in half without the sword. She does it just with her, just with her hand, because she's got the plasma weapon there too in that one. So she basically, she can use the sword certainly like this, where remember that last scene, she's pointing up at Nova there, up in Zalem, and he's looking down on her and that kind of stuff there. But you can see how she can control the plasma, just by having the plasma go up the sword. Plus, I think Maxie called this out too, is there's probably some kind of mechanism in the sword itself that actually assists with that too. Wouldn't you say, Maxie?
Well, there's a number of theories running around. It gets very complicated because the original script said that the motorball body in the final scene was armor platings over the Berserker body. But then I've spoken to a Weta designer who said, no, it's not the same body. It's a completely new model. And I suspect that they've done it that way because the Berserker body couldn't be repaired. So they decided, well, she'd probably be better off moving to a new body. And there's that whole thing in the manga, which is very poignant about it was the body that she loved Hugo in. She couldn't bear being embodied in it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why she changed bodies, but also that it can't be repaired. So if you're going to be out on the motorball circuit ripping it up, at some point you are going to get trashed. So you do need to be able to be repaired. So they went with a more terrestrial body. But I personally, out of all the bodies in the movie, this is my favorite. It's only in the last scene, and I'm like, oh, I need another movie so I can see more of this thing, because it's like the Ferrari of cyborg bodies. It's just beautiful. The styling, the coil power in it is just fantastic. But then there's the question of the plasma generator, the arc plasma generator that was in the arm of the Berserker body. How is it that she can light up the sword? And for over a year and a half, I was like, Ido must have worked out how to do it and put one in that arm. But you don't see any vents in that arm. You don't see the same sort of things that are in the Berserker body to make it function that way. And then Brett, just a fan, I think is Brett's online name. He came up with the theory because he's an engineer. He said, well, it may be that thing with the little blades in it at the very top of the sword, which if you listen to Shadowversity, who talks about armor and weapons, he says that it's a very odd thing to have on a sword because it stuffs up where you can hold it, so you actually lose control. It's not a very good design for a sword. But then, this is a cyborg sword. They're a lot stronger than a human, so maybe that's not a big problem. But he just thought it was weird that there's that structure on the top of it that gets in the way of where you place your thumb. And Brett said that he thinks that that's a plasma generator there, and what the body is doing is providing the power to create the plasma in the sword. So it requires the strength of her heart to light the sword, not specifically the plasma generator in her arm, which is a separate one to light the sword. So I like that theory, so I'm running with that one until we get confirmation.
Yeah, possibly why
the Berserker body arm and another one in the sword.
Yeah. By the way, I want to tease. I want to tease Finn, and I want to tease Dizzy a little bit. About how I pronounce Panzerkunst. Finn, you should know this, you rascal. You're a German, so anyway, that's got to be an umlaut over the U, as you can see, and I don't have umlauts on my keyboard, so there you go. So anyway, but Finn is right about one thing. Creaky is creepy. Yes, I am. Every time I get a chance. So anyway,
just something about getting older. You just stop caring.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but this is another kick right here that you see in a lot of martial arts styles. It's called the axe kick. And this is the one, of course, where she actually cleaved off Grishka's arm in that first fight. Now, she tried to do it in the second fight, but he was a lot tougher, I guess. But anyway, obviously she learned this when she was in the armed military and training and stuff like that. So this is a kick when I was taking karate, I never could master. I don't know. Angelus, have you ever tried this kick? So
yeah, like I could do it, but if even though being 6 feet tall, if there was an opportunity where I could perform it,
yeah,
I'd just as soon finish them off if they were that low anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Now there's a variation of this kick called the stomp kick, and it's similar, except you don't jump up in the air like that. You just kind of, somebody's maybe they're kind of leaned over. Maybe you've hit them in a way that they're leaning over, and to finish them off, you can kick them over the head, or something like that. But that sounds almost unfair, doesn't it, Mike? But anyway,
one thing that I note about this freeze frame is that she's using the back of her calf to take that arm off. Now, I couldn't see a person getting much in the way of damage created by the back of their calf because it's squishy and muscular. And I would actually think that if you were to hit something hard with the back of your calf, you'd actually probably cause yourself issues with your Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
So that would not work for human. You could not.
Now, humans could use the back of their foot on that.
Yeah, the heel. You use the sharp point of the heel.
Yeah, because that's like a focal point for the force.
Yeah, but a cyborg is created differently. The structure is different and the rigidity is different. So that would change the style somewhat.
Well, could you imagine what she could do with her heel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Mike. I did a video on this, some time ago, and I actually estimated or calculated what the force was for her to do that because I, had to research what the force resistance was of steel and stuff like that. Now, I'm assuming it's steel. It could be aluminum, but I'm assuming it was steel that Grishka was made out of, at least that part of his arm. And my estimate was she generated 20,000 foot-pounds of force behind that. So because of the force resistance of steel, she had to have a kick more powerful than that. So
a bar of steel is much more rigid than a joint.
Yeah.
So a joint's got to be able to move, so it can't be as rigid as a bar of steel. So I would say that that's an overestimate based on she's going for the joints. You go for the weak points. It's a weak point. And that's why it had to be reinforced. So the second time she did it, it didn't work.
It didn't work, yeah.
So I'd say that that's probably an overestimate because she's not trying to kick a bar in half, a bar of steel.
I wouldn't want to try that on me. Hold up a bar of steel in front of me and say, see if you can kick through this and hit my head with it. No. Any thoughts, Angelus?
Just the thought of me holding up a bar of steel and then Alita's foot coming right through it and then cleaving my skull up, or caving in my skull, I should say.
No, your skull would probably just explode.
Yeah, actually.
It kind of reminds me of that Bruce Lee scene, when he's fighting Bob Wall. Bob Wall breaks that board and Bruce Lee says, "Boards don't hit back." Kind of reminds me of that.
Grishka does.
Yeah, Grishka. Yeah, absolutely he does. And this right here, I don't know what the hell kind of technique this thing is, but it's definitely an improvised kick of some kind, and certainly I don't know. I can't name it, but this just kind of typifies her fighting skill because this is kind of a technique that's kind of she just came up with, because she was on the ground. Nisiana was trying to stab her while she's on the ground, and of course she flips over and kicks her like that, knocks her way back up on the wall. So
reverse out of thrust, because instead of pushing herself away, she's pushing Nisiana away.
Yeah, that's right. It could be that. Yeah, a variation of that. Yeah, it could very well be for sure. So, but anyway, it just really shows how adaptive Alita is in a fight. The character. So,
did you cover the double punch that she gives Nisiana as the first retaliatory strike in that fight?
Well, we did the chain punch. We did that one. So.
No. She she leans over. So you know that move that they do when in Dragon Ball Z where they touch fingers and combine into one person?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that, but she used both fists at once and contacted with both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I think those are just two reverse punches put together. What do you think, Angelos?
I can't remember the move, not that I used it much, but I mean, it's definitely like an actual, how should I call it, legitimate attack that she used. I just can't remember the coined term for it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But the reverse punch is just one where you just punch, and you kind of pull your other arm back while you're punching. But she put both arms forward, so it's kind of a weird adaptation of that, I guess.
Oh, by the way, Creaky, that supersonic punch that adds electromagnetism to the impact is called missile blow.
Yes.
Or Geschlossschlag. I can't.
Yeah, Geschlossschlag, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, those two punches both were probably like, they were both probably like missile blows, both of them, so. But anyway, this is called a flying sidekick, and I bet Angelos can do this. I used to be able to do this. So, but anyway, she, and this is almost like she's doing it forward though. So it's another kind of an improvised, type thing. When Ito says, Alita run, she starts running, and kind of trying to give the illusion she's trying to run away, which, the movie Alita Battle Angel, she's not going to run away. Says she's a battle angel. She's going to attack, But
in a storytelling perspective, it's a classic bait and switch.
Yep,
until the very last minute give the impression that it's different than what it is, and then you surprise the viewer, at least the first time, by switching it straight up to something different. It's very well used, and it's actually really well accepted by viewers. They like it.
Yeah,
they like to be misled and go, "Oh, I was completely wrong about that." But if you're used to that sort of thing, you can pick it a mile away.
Yeah.
You mean when Groove just says "watch her die" and we go, "Okay."
Yeah. Well, here's another variation of that. Now, this is also a flying sidekick, but this is almost like a thrust kick too. So it's kind of a combination of both of them. But this is when Nisiana jumps at her, and then she meets her in midair and kicks her against the wall. Of course, then after that, she takes her head off with another. I don't know what that kick was. Just stomped on her, I guess, on the wall. But anyway, this is a flying, kind of a variation or modified flying sidekick that almost looks like a thrust kick, almost. So. And this one right here is one I'm familiar with. In Kenpo Karate, they have we had like 12 movements called grab arts, and what grab arts are is they're movements or defenses against people that grab you, like a wrestler or somebody like jiu-jitsu or something like that, and there are defenses against that. And this is kind of a variation of a couple of the grab arts. That we used to practice, but it is a variation, obviously, because we never grabbed their throat like that. But you see how she's using Zapan's arm as leverage, when she grabs him like that. So she's holding his arm so she can slam his face into that table, giving it more more force, So, but anyway, that's the grab arts that's real common in Kenpo Karate. So.
She's almost octopus lipping there too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was going to say it's probably the equivalent of his esophagus in a way. Or I mean, I know that's like a lot lower down in the chest, but like the Adam's apple, if you will.
No, the esophagus runs from the bottom of the head all the way down.
Yeah. So
you are correct.
Being a cyborg, obviously that. Yeah. Part of the area is exposed. It's not covered up by flesh, so she can sort of grab it and use that even as further leverage to not just pull him down, but slam him down into that table.
Well, if you've seen any of the videos that they were showing of her on the red carpet where everybody wanted her to demonstrate this technique, the normal version is you actually reach behind their head and use the back of their neck.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she demonstrated that on television against that woman that was interviewing her. That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. There was several interviews where they asked her about that one because it was the thing, Yeah.
And I don't know if she knew that she was doing a Kenpo karate technique there. Maybe she did because she took, she trained for 6 months, Rosa did, to be proficient, at martial arts, which, is another thing I love about her. So anyway.
I don't know if it was like a direct teaching, but I mean, they probably, at the very least, she conditioned herself to be able to do the motion, so to speak, and make it look real. Yeah,
exactly. And this is a kick that you see in just about every style I can think of. In Kenpo, we call this a fast kick, but, the front kick is what most styles call it, but pretty typical, But the thing about Alita, in the movie, she kicked Zapan so hard that he flew 25 feet across the floor, and it ended up with his head in that music box or whatever that thing was,
Jukebox.
Yeah, jukebox. There you go. Thanks, Maxie.
All right.
Yeah.
Words guy.
Yeah, that's you. That's right.
So many words.
Yes. And this right here is a tornado kick. And, that's also in several styles. And the idea there is by spinning like that, it disorients your opponent just before you kick them. And it gives you more force. When you're spinning around, your foot comes around and you hit them, it's got more force because it's got, it's got all that speed behind it, So anyway, she actually executes this twice in the movie in the same fight. She does it here, and then immediately following it, she does it against another opponent. So. And then, of course, this is a jiu-jitsu move, but I think we practiced it too, and I think probably you did too, Angelus. But this is a hip throw, and of course, this is on that fight on the moon, and that's pretty common in a lot of styles, particularly jiu-jitsu. I think that this is one that they use a lot. So
I have a problem with some of the moves in this scene because the gravity is way less. She should have thrown him like 40, 50 meters.
Yeah. Yeah.
He should have just gone and kept going. He shouldn't have fallen that quick.
Yeah. Of course.
To be fair, I'll just quickly put this through there. I'm not counteracting, but sort of theorizing, if you want to put it this way, Maxie, is that I was thinking, like, why would she need to use a hip throw in such low gravity? And it just occurred to me, like, just then, that she didn't do it to throw him, because you definitely wouldn't need to in that lower gravity. So the only other reason why I could think of is she needed to generate enough force so that when he, like, she wasn't aiming to throw him like 30, 40 yards away. She was aiming to throw him into the ground.
Yeah.
And
she might have also been using the hip throw to keep herself from flying away as well.
Because that too as well. Because
when you generate force and create kinetic energy, unless you can let go at the right time, you're going to travel with it.
Yeah.
So with lower gravity, you go as well.
And that's why she used the hip throw.
Yeah, Mike, is there any hand-to-hand combat in what was the game you said you were Mortal Kombat? Was that what it was?
Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat's all hand-to-hand combat.
Okay,
it's just side-scrolling hand-to-hand.
Okay, so is there any throws like this? Because I've never played Mortal Kombat.
There are some. I haven't played the newer games. Like most of my experience was with the older one, but even with the older one, there were some moves that I think you could throw people over.
Okay.
I'm going on decades old memory.
Yeah,
there is one in Street Fighter.
Okay.
Well, there might also be a weight variable here when it comes to fighting on the moon, because Alita's body might be a little more weighty than, say, like a human body because of the metal.
Yeah. Plus, he may be heavier, but we're going to see toward the end of these slides I have, that how that's not going to be a real factor. I got some calculations on that one. So, but anyway, yeah, this is a pretty common move, and even wrestling, they do this, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they do, it's in a lot of different styles. So.
Well, before we move to the next one, I got to jump out quick to go pick up a dinner order. So I will come back as soon as I can. But if I'm not back before the end of the show, then, thank you for having me.
Well, we'd love to have you on board there, Mike.
I'm glad I finally make it.
Yeah, well,
hey, Mike, just before you go, Mike, are you a martial artist?
No, but I play one on TV.
Oh, fair enough. I was going to say that I have a black belt in macrame. Does that count?
Yeah. That's an Aussie martial art, Mike. Anyway. So anyway, Mike, I'll definitely invite you back sometime.
Fantastic.
On. So
hopefully within next week.
Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you, Mike. Okay, anyway, this is a sidekick, and of course that is that's in a lot of styles right there, a lot of karate, kung fu, taekwondo, that kind of stuff. The thing about this, what makes this extremely interesting, is you see that guy is diving at her, and she's doing this kick. Now, Angela should probably tell you that a head-high kick is a hard thing to pull off if you got a moving opponent. And he's diving at her, but she's so fast that she's able to kick him, get her foot up there, and kick him right in the face as he's diving at her. So that takes extremely fast reflexes right there to do that.
And a cybernetic body that doesn't have to worry about tearing a hamstring or
that's right,
tendons or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, going fast isn't a big problem until you look at stopping suddenly. And then that's when you tend to tear tendons and rip muscles and stuff. It's not so much the going fast, it's the sudden stop at the end.
Yes, that's right.
I love this because it makes me feel young again, or rather not as old as you guys, because this is something that I can still do now.
Yeah, I can't do this.
I could never do this. So there you go.
I can kick knees. That's about all I can do now, or say even belt high, I could do that, but that's it. Usually, though, and Angela, you'll be able to attest to this. Head high kicks are not very practical in a street fight unless you've really got your opponent worn down quite a bit. Because if you get a skilled opponent and you do a head high kick, they can grab your leg and injure you. So anyway.
Yeah. Just anything above the belt, so to speak, especially with kicks.
So have either of you guys been in a street fight?
I'm sorry?
Have either of you guys been in a street fight?
Nope.
Yep.
Well, I have been, but it wasn't my choice. I was mugged at 2 a.m. by 3 guys.
Me, it was two teenagers with skateboards.
I was giving as good as I got until I got hit over the back of the head with a stubby.
What's a stubby?
It's a
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's an Aussie term. I don't know.
Aussie term,
yeah.
Oh, this is probably
it's six stitches in the scalp. Always fun.
Okay. So anyway, that's go ahead.
Finn, Mike had to go, just to let you know.
Yeah, Finn, Mike had to go pick up dinner. He may come back if just in case. By the way, Dizzy or Odd John Hoots or even you, Finn, you get your asses on the stream if you want to berate us. So anyway, I know Dizzy will berate us. I know he has no problem doing that. So
Dizzy, that's us stubby, which is the beer bottle, versus stubbies, which is the shorts.
Yeah. And that's another technique that is in a lot of styles, the outward crescent kick. So
I love that one.
Yeah, I do too. And I like the look on her face.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's funny, it's like, okay, she's just looking straight at Ito. I just love it.
The look on her face after she kicks Zapan into the jukebox.
Yeah.
She's a bit stunned by what she's just done. Like she's going, "Whoa, did I just do that?"
Yeah.
Rose's acting was just phenomenal.
Oh, almighty. Yeah, that's why I've always said, Rose has got to be Alita in the sequel. It's just got to happen. I mean, I'm going to watch it no matter what, but it's got to be Rosa, for me, or I'm going to be pretty upset, So I think we all will.
Right there with you.
Yeah, exactly. So
must be an old guy's thing.
I guess. And of course, some of us are older than others. So, but anyway, that's kind of some of her fighting techniques. I didn't have all of them in there. Obviously, there was that one technique when she disarms the pan where she kind of spun around. That was a modified technique of some kind. I don't know. But one thing you might have missed if you watch it in slow motion is she actually hits Zapan in the midsection as she's spinning around like that to distract him so she can get the sword away from him, So if you next time you watch it and you see her grab his arm like that and spin around, pay real close attention to to Zapan's midsection, where she hits him, in the midsection, and you can hear him go oof like that, and it was now a cyborg's not going to be affected as much as a human getting hit in the solar plexus, but it did distract him, and I think that was the purpose of that one. So, yeah. But anyway, now we want to talk a little bit about, Alita's strength and her overall speed. And one of the things about Alita's strength is it varies greatly from body to body, I think. In her doll body, she's pretty strong, because, she's still a cyborg, so she's going to be stronger than a human. But I don't think that she's going to be, I don't think she's going to be a quantum leap above humans. She may be, but in her Imaginos body, or say her Berserker body, she is several times stronger than the strongest humans on Earth. So anyway, welcome, Dizzy.
Dizzy.
What's up, fellas?
G'day. G'day, Dizzy.
Yeah, welcome aboard there, Diz.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Good to be here.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm surrounded by
nothing.
Aussies. I'm surrounded by Aussies.
So you've had your strong black morning potion, have you, Dizzy?
Yeah, I've had 2, mate.
Cool.
I need a refill myself, so I might bow out for about a minute.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a very good question, Creaky. What the fuck? Why are all the Aussies here? What's wrong with you Americans? Get your asses in here.
Was it past their bedtime or something?
I think Aussies like me. I think Aussies like me. That's why. So maybe.
So that's why you're coming down here after the Cove, is it?
Yeah.
All the beaches.
Hey, it's on my bucket list, even though I saw those big ass spiders on that damn Twitter the other day. God damn, them things look like crabs.
They'll be back in the ground by the time you get here, mate.
Yeah, you'll be right.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, yeah, that's on my bucket list. So we're all going to go for a beer. So anyway, one of the things about this kind of speaks to her strength somewhat, but not to the degree that I want to, present, Alita, but her ability to do just this. Now, I think Maxie, in a prior stream, you pointed out very correctly that, folks from Cirque du Soleil can do this. Okay. But here's the thing.
With the one finger.
Yeah, with one finger.
Sorry, I'll just quickly cut him before I go actually make my coffee. But I would, dare I say yes, with my limited understanding, say yes and no. Because the basic action of if you hold out your arm, eventually your arm's going to get tired and you just don't want to hold it up there anymore. Now, you hold up your arm and you have someone hanging off it, that's going to require a lot of strength as well.
And durability.
Sort of similar to this, where like her own body weight is all on the arm, or in this case, the finger. So that's like
she's a machine, so it wouldn't matter, would it?
No, it would just require power and control. And
what you have to remember is that the woman who did this for the movie, because this was actually
is a gymnast.
Well, she's a contortionist.
Yeah.
She's also very light. Now, when you're got a female body that's very light, the structural strength of a finger is much more able to hold it up for a short period than for somebody who's bulked out, like a big strong guy couldn't hold himself up on one finger.
Yeah,
but this woman's probably like 35 kilos or something.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot to hold on one finger. See, the structural rigidity of a finger doesn't reduce because you've got a lighter frame.
Yeah.
So
Bruce Lee could do it.
A light person could do it. A light contortionist could do it, but a strong guy couldn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Plus, she probably all the practice she put into strength.
Yeah, she's been doing it since she was 4.
Yeah. But the thing of it is, though, just saying that Alita, just pretending here like she's a real person. There's a part of the novelization that speaks to cyborgs, and to Angela's point, how she was holding her arm up. But in the novelization, it speaks to how cyborgs can run and keep running until their leg falls off or something like this. And humans can't do that. So Alita could probably hold her arm up like that, or even probably hold herself up like that for much longer than she did in the movie. Who knows how long she could hold herself up like that with her hand up in the air like that, because she is a cyborg. And of course, and her endurance is going to be, probably several thousand times greater than a human's, so she's going to be able to, just keep going on,
Would Alita get dehydrated if she ran for ages?
I don't know what that would be, Maxie. What do you think? I don't know. Her brain needs water.
It's variable. It's not well explained, but there is a section in the Badlands arc where Alita and Figure 4 are walking across the desert trying to get back to civilization, and she's got what's called a soft cyborg body, so I'm presuming that it's got sweat glands and things, and she's dehydrated and she's dying because she's so dehydrated. So I'm presuming that at least in some sorts of cyborg bodies in Kishiro's world, you can actually get thirsty as a cyborg and you do need water.
Yeah, when you have that body, particularly.
Yeah.
But didn't she also lose her feet because he was carrying her, wasn't he?
Yeah, she'd lost one foot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she had a peg leg.
No, that was later on, I think, wasn't it?
I can't
I thought that was when she was in the desert, in the tuned one. Was that?
Well, there was a fair bit of that. There was various things going on. I mean, they got rained on by the fish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bigot Eisenberg caved and actually did something nice for her for a change.
Yeah. By the way, Angela said a good point. Bruce Lee did a 2-finger push-up with one arm. He could do several of them. Like 10 push-ups. That's pretty tough. Right there. So.
And his body would be heavier than a contortionist.
Than the contortionist.
Yeah. But he probably had like 2% body fat, all muscle, just ripped.
Yeah,
he was.
He was little. He wasn't bulky, but God, that guy was ripped. I mean, geez.
Well, they were saying that his heart attack was partially caused by the fact that he had such low body fat. He had no reserves, and he put too much pressure on his heart without having the reserves to power it.
Well, what happens when you don't have enough pineapple pizza, mate?
That's right, Diz. But no, what really killed him, though, Maxie, was he had a cerebral edema is what he had.
Is that what it was? Right.
Yeah. He may have had a heart attack with that, but what killed him was the cerebral edema, I think. So,
yes.
Now, Creaky actually estimated that Alita could curl 800 pounds. Now, here's how I'm basing this, is that I actually compared that Gatling gun right there with a U.S. military Gatling gun that, was much smaller. And of course, I basically measured the size of both guns. And of course I had to make an assumption that the density of all the parts and that were the same. There's no way of knowing. They don't go into that in the movie. But if it was made out of similar material and the density of all the parts are the same as the military Gatling gun, then that Gatling gun would weigh 600 pounds or over 270 kilograms. So you say, okay, 600 pounds. How do you figure she can curl 800 pounds? Well, here's how. That she actually takes that gun and fires it for 2 seconds. Now, I calculated that what that meant was if that gun had the same firing rate, and it probably had a little greater firing rate because the Gatling gun that, I looked at that the U.S. military uses had 3 barrels on it. And this one had 4. And the thing of it is, and another thing about it, that Gatling gun in the U.S. military was a 50 caliber, and the size of this, and let me go back one. You can't see it that well, but I was able to, kind of measure it, compared to say like Alita's body. And I estimated that these were 1-inch barrels. In other words, that's a 100 caliber gun right there. And there's 4 barrels. So the thing about it is that this thing probably had like 6 times the firepower of the U.S. military Gatling gun. And she probably fired somewhere around 60 bullets in 2 seconds. And with a gun like this that has probably anywhere from 5 to 6 times, delivers 5 to 6 times the kinetic energy of the other gun, that takes awesome, awesome strength to be able to hold that gun still like she did. Now, of course, some would say, well, maybe there's some mechanisms in the gun that have maybe some kind of gyroscopic, kind of quality to it that holds the gun still. Possibly, no way I could tell that. But if that gun was just a Gatling gun, just like the other gun, and for her to hold it still like that, because when you fire, anybody that's fired a gun, a shotgun, or even a pistol for that matter, there is a kick to it. And even like a 20 gauge shotgun has a kick to it. But a 100 caliber gun that's probably firing somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 rounds a minute, that is awesome, awesome strength to be able to hold that gun still while she's shooting it. And there's a adage, I guess, or a kind of a, anecdotal, look at when you curl something. If you can curl something like 10 to 12 reps, like 600 pounds, they say you add about 1/3, of that weight, and that's what you can curl for one rep, and that's what that is. That 800 pounds is 1/3 greater than this 600 pound gun right here. So that was my estimate. Now there's no way I can know for sure, because the way she held this gun, hell, she might be able to curl 1,000 pounds. I have no idea, but holding it like that suggested that she could probably curl it 10 to 12 times, which means she could curl 600 or 800 pounds for 1 repetition. Thoughts?
Well, I was reading that she could lift. She's capable of lifting 6,000 pounds or 3 tons.
Oh, you're way ahead of me, Dizzy. I have a couple other slides on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
I won't say anything else.
No, that's okay. She, and this is in her berserker body. God almighty, who knows what she can do in her Imaginos body? I mean, holy mackerel, there's really no way to know, I guess. I guess I could go back to the manga and try to figure it out, But anyway.
In the anime, she was able to slice Grishka's hand and him in half with her hands.
Yeah.
With the plasma. There was no sword in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is to your point, Diz. According to a bodybuilding website, that the average human can bench press about 4 times what they can curl. Now, my estimate there, you probably saw that she could curl 800 pounds for 1 rep. That means that she can probably bench press, or at least minimum, I think this is a minimum, but according to that, I bench press over 3,000 pounds or over 1,400 kilograms. So there is no human being on the planet that can do this. I think the world bench press record is something like 1,300 pounds. I think a guy just recently said it, one of those big big power lifters, or strongman, type guy, So you got little bitty Alita who can bench press 3 times what he can. So, Now, where did you see that Diz where she could lift? Well, that's I guess lift, not press, I guess.
Yeah, I was just reading a Reddit forum. I was just saying that they were saying that she could be capable of lifting 6,000 pounds or 3 tons, and that would be under the ideal conditions like a bench press.
Yeah.
And then they go on to talk about real world objects and other stuff.
Well, this is kind of what I thought that she could do, because basically, people can, like, on average, if you assume that she can deadlift 50% more than she can bench, that, in other words, you add a half again. Now, this is a drawing that Cranberry Jam did for me, and I really do love this drawing. But in this particular drawing, I had her draw 1,348 pounds or 620 kilograms. But really, if she could do 50% more than she could bench, that would be 4,800 pounds or over 2,100 kilograms. Now, to your point is, I don't know. I mean, that 50% thing is not a hard and fast rule. She might be able to deadlift 600 pounds or 6,000 pounds, rather, 3 tons. And when you think about that, think about any human that tried to pick up 6,000 pounds. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to do it.
They just pass out, mate, and probably shit themselves.
Yeah. Well, the guy that set the deadlift record, I forget what it was. It was like 1,300 pounds, I think. He actually passed out, and he had a bloody nose. It was Eddie Hall, I think is who it was.
Yeah.
And it nearly killed him. So, but that, I guess that's the record. But think, if you look at this picture, I had Cran draw this picture like this for the 1,300 pound thing. She's not even straining. She's just standing there holding it. And that's probably what would happen if she deadlifted 1,300 pounds,
Is there any bar of steel that can even, like, she'd be able to pick it up no problem, but is there any bar of steel that would be able to sustain that weight?
She'd probably be able to pick up both sides of those plates like dinner plates and hold them in each hand without a bar.
Well, if she held it, near the ends, if she held it out near the ends, Angeles, like she's doing there, it probably wouldn't bend. Now, if she did a sumo deadlift where her hands were in the middle, that bar would bend big time if it was 6,000 pounds, which is how much? Is that what, about 2,500 or 2,600 kilograms? Is that what that is? Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes. It leads back into our discussion earlier about the force required to bend steel.
Yeah. So anyway, I remember we've talked about this in the past, and actually Angela's found that picture for me because I wanted to use it in one of my videos. But anyway, that kind of makes the fact that she lifted the internal workings of that suicide machine, it kind of makes it seem plausible now, doesn't it? I mean, if she can lift at least 4,800 pounds and possibly 6,000 pounds, yeah, she could hold that thing up with one hand. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Well, how much do you reckon Alita weighs? Right there in that picture, holding up that thing compared to how much that weighs.
Yeah, well, she probably, now is this her tuned body? I think that's her tuned body, isn't it?
No, that's Imaginos 1.
That's the Imaginos 1 body. Okay. Yeah, what do you think, Matt? She probably weighs like 300 pounds, doesn't she? Something like that.
Oh, it's nanotech, so I don't know how much it would weigh, man. There's never been a statement about how much she weighs there. I mean, there's all discussion about the doll body and who goes saying, "Oh, you're heavier than I expected." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just threw this in because you're sure you want to come to Australia, man.
Well, that thing there looks bad, but I'll tell you what, those damn spiders, that I saw, I mean, they look like big crabs. That dog looked like he was going to be lunch. So those damn things were huge.
How was he beaten up by an octopus? He obviously had too many stubbies.
Yeah, he's chasing, isn't he? Holy cow! Yeah,
he's mad.
Yeah, he is.
Look at it.
So there you go. Welcome to Australia.
Maybe he stole his lunch or something. Jeez, he got whiplashed. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
I'm still coming to Australia one of these days, guys. I'm still going to do it. Okay, but anyway, I just want to flip here to her speed a little bit, and then we'll go back to her strength. But
just before you move on, it all depends on what those gears were made out of. If they were some sort of futuristic alloy that's quite light, then it mightn't be that big a deal to pick it up. But you're probably presuming they're solid steel.
Or at least some other heavy metal. I don't know if it's steel, but steel's been around for, a long time, so, maybe they still use it in the future. I don't know, or still will use it in the future. So who knows? Yeah, you're right, though. We don't know the density of that material there,
But I mean, you can see an I-beam on the right-hand side there. So I-beams generally are made of steel, but I'm presuming again. This is hundreds of years in the future.
To be fair, it has to be at the very least denser than bone, because that thing's like grinding up bone as well as flesh.
Oh yes,
I don't know.
Denser than bone.
That thing looks awfully heavy to me. I don't know.
How much strength do you reckon she would have, say, if she was pushing something at speed as opposed to lifting something stagnant?
Well, probably pushing something, I'm assuming like a bench press, she can probably bench like 1/6 of what she can pull, so that would be, bench would be push,
So she would have super speed or something, right? And then say if she was like pushing a car as opposed to lifting it. So she was running, pushing it. It'd be a lot easier, like she'd be able to do a lot more heavier stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, she could probably push a car that for her, that's going to be child's play. I mean, she'd probably be able to push a car 50 or 60 miles an hour.
What do you reckon the biggest object is she'd be able to push then?
Oh my God. I know based on being able to pull 4,800 pounds, or maybe like you say, Dizzy, 6,000 pounds.
Yeah. 12,000, double it.
Yeah. I mean, she may be able to push a bus. I don't know. It's just no way of knowing,
Problem with pushing a bus is that the outer surface of a bus is usually quite flimsy. She'd probably push it and put her arms through it.
Yeah, it's possible, unless she pushed down around.
Well, then how does Superman do it?
Well, yeah. That's
he carries them.
Cradles them.
Even in the Christopher Reeve movie, doesn't he leave a handprint on the bus?
I guess. I don't know.
I think he did.
Now, I know that in Man of Steel, that kid, who played the young Superman, remember that bus went over in the water and he was able to push it out, and he was pushing on the bumper, on the back bumper. So, So, she might could do that too. She push it on the back bumper, or say if she tied some chains, really heavy chains, and then pulled it, who knows how fast she could push that thing. I have no way of knowing,
But there's something that she can do that no one else can, and that's lift something that heavy and look that good doing it. No one else can do that.
Mate.
The power of Uber. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about her lifting that the innards of that suicide machine there is that thing is big. I don't mean necessarily so heavy. It probably is, but I mean, it's big, which means it's going to be a balancing thing, which means she's going to have what's equivalent to stabilizer muscles to hold that thing like that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Anything else on this one, Maxie?
No, I think we're good.
But anyway, I actually also calculated, I had to do some estimation and assumption here too, is remember when she deflected that bullet shot at her by one of those Centurions, of course I had to assumed that thing was 30 feet away. It could have been 20. I have no idea. But the muzzle velocity of the U.S. military Gatling gun is 2,900 feet per second. So if this gun that Centurion fired is similar, and she's 30 feet away, that means she had, basically she reacted within 10 milliseconds. Another thing to point out, which kind of speaks to her strength, is that I don't know if any of you have been in the military, but if you've heard or seen a 50 caliber machine gun or a Gatling gun fired, you get this feeling at how powerful it is. But this is 100 caliber. This has 4 times the kinetic energy. And all she did was hold that blade up and deflect it like that. And it didn't even budge her arm, So, think about what that would require in strength, because that bullet has a lot of power behind it. It's got a lot of kinetic energy that when it hits that blade, for it not to move, in other words, the force resistance that she's showing would have to be greater than the bullet. So, and that bullet's traveling really fast, and she don't have a lot of time to react. Now, if that Centurion is 15 feet away, I guess then it would be 5 milliseconds, which, I mean, no human could do that. And even with a 10 millisecond reaction time, that is 20 times faster than the average human reaction time.
Maybe Bruce Lee.
I don't know if old Bruce could have even pulled that off. That'd be pretty tough, I think,
That makes me think, but when Alita's walking in the water, the force of walking, like, I don't know if you've tried to walk underwater, but that takes some force. And she's just walking like she's going for a walk in the park with the dog.
Yeah, like she's strolling. Yeah. Exactly. And then, of course, one thing I did estimate too, and I had to make some assumptions here. I assumed that the factory floor, from the door to where the deck man was 150 feet, and that it was roughly 50 feet wide. I could be off on that, but anyway, it took her 15 seconds, to kill all these Centurions, and 4 seconds of that, or maybe 5. She was jumping in the air and swinging her sword. So that meant she was probably just running for 11 seconds.
And don't forget the deckman.
Yeah, and the deckman, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, her average velocity for her to move that far in 11 seconds meant that she had to be running on average 125 miles an hour, which explains why those Centurions couldn't hit her when they were shooting at her, because by the time they fired the gun, she was out of the way, But that was her jumping around and changing directions and swinging her sword and all that stuff. If she was to run on a straight line, I don't know how fast she could run. She may be able to run 200 miles an hour. I have no idea, But just from that, of course, the assumptions, we can argue whether the assumptions are right, but for her to be able to dodge those bullets suggests that she was moving pretty damn fast when they were firing at her, And another thing about this is that she basically jumped what I think is at least 20 feet in the air. Okay, and it could have been 30. I have no idea, but it looks like, I think what those Centurions, what do you think, Maxie? They're probably about 9 or 10 feet tall, maybe. And she,
I don't measure in feet real good, mate. But
or how many meters? Maybe 3 meters.
They're probably 2.5 meters, I'd say, based on the height of Hugo, who's average height probably just under 6 feet. So yeah, 180 centimeters, 190 centimeters. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say they're about 2.5 to 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So 20 feet probably is a minimum of a vertical jump like that. Now, Olympic high jumpers they can go over 7 maybe, or can they do 8 even, maybe, I don't know. I haven't been following that, but you think about Alita being able to jump 3 times higher than an Olympic high jumper. I mean, that speaks to how powerful her legs are, which suggests
it's probably higher than that, wouldn't it? Because didn't they say they had to dumb down the jumping around from the man because it'd just look a bit stupid?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I remember Rodriguez saying that in an interview. So she could probably jump higher than what you're talking about.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. But at least in that picture, it looks like it's probably around 20 feet, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, you might be
on
right.
a bad day. On a bad day, 20 feet.
Yeah, on a bad day.
Before she's waking up yet.
Yeah.
Without coffee.
Now, here's the thing about with coffee, she could probably go 40 feet. But anyway, here's the thing, though. There's an adage that the average human can squat 90% of what they can deadlift, which suggests, and of course, her being able to jump that high speaks to how powerful her legs are, that she could probably squat, or at least just from what you saw in that frame I had a few frames ago, that she could probably squat at least 4,300 pounds or over 1,900 kilograms. So if she was to compete in one of Muskogee Creek's powerlifting competition, she would be able to, her combined weight, for all three of those events, bench, squat, and deadlift, would be 12,300 pounds.
Would you be able to bench her, Creaky?
No, I can't. No, not even close, Diz. But anyway, I think the most I've ever done is 800 pounds, I think. So think about it, about 12,000 pounds, holy moly, so she's not just a little girl, is she? I mean, she's quite powerful, really. Okay. So anyway, that's pretty much, what I have here on Alita. And just, looking at what we've gone over today, it's obvious that Alita's really strong. She's really fast. She's a really great melee fighter. In other words, she took out all those Centurions in 15 seconds. I mean, what human could do that? And she whipped the crap out of those three cyborgs, in the alley with her doll body. Seriously. So this is how good she is. But to Angelus's point, she's got the power of woo-woo.
Yes, I was wondering where that was.
I was thinking, where's Angelus's point? You haven't said, yeah. Oh, there it is. Good.
So anyway, yeah,
all is right with the world now.
Now, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the sun will come up tomorrow, and Jaya, I love this. Jaya, yeah, Jaya, one of these days when I do depart the planet, I might have them remove my head and then freeze it in about 500 years from now, make me a total replacement cyborg. I may do that. So
I'll make sure you've got some good cryoprotectant because Disney didn't, and he's not.
Yeah, that's right. Alita Lore's got a really good point, about her moving the speed of light. Yeah, I didn't bring that up on the speed. In her berserker body, she moved, what I calculated to be 125 miles an hour. But I think, Angelus, you remember this. We talked about this on one of Den's streams about her moving at the speed of light in her Imaginos body. And the reason why, in the discussion there was in that, in the manga, it spoke to, when she would look behind, everything was red shifted and everything in front of her was blue shifted. For that to happen, you have to be moving at least 10% the speed of light. And even that's not fast enough probably because, you probably see a very slight blue tint at what your tint, when you're approaching it, whatever you're approaching. So she might have had to be moving like maybe half the speed of light or something like this. So anyway, we had a really enjoyable discussion about that one, so we all did agree that she was moving at relativistic speed, so in her Imaginos body, particularly that body that, that she got after she came back from Jupiter, that she probably could run near the speed of light. So welcome, Odd John Hoops. How's it going, man?
Probably not good because his mic's not working or connected or turned on.
Johnny Boy's mic's busted again.
Or he's muted or whatever.
Or he's got the lag going on again.
Yeah, I love this too, Jay. Yeah, if Creek has a TR, I'd go wild. Yeah, I would.
Does that mean we'll be seeing a variation of like that those high school videos, but it's like called Cyborgs
What?
Gone Wild.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like instead of Girls Gone Wild, it's Cyborgs Gone Wild.
Cyborgs Gone Wild. Yes.
There is a not very well known movie called Space Truckers.
Yeah, I
What's that
saw
one about, mate?
had Dennis Hopper in it.
Yeah. Do you remember the bad guy who was a cyborg
Yeah.
and he had the ripcord penis?
Yep. Yeah.
Sharing screen.
You can go and look that one up yourself.
Did
Nah, I'm all right.
someone say
There it
Cyborgs
is.
Gone Wild?
Mm.
Space Truckers. Yeah, I remember that was actually a fun movie, wasn't it?
It was, but that scene was just
96.
ridiculous. The look on that poor woman's face when he did that.
Yeah.
She's like, nope, don't come near me with that thing.
Yeah, it had Brad Dourif in it too, didn't it? Yeah, him and who was the lady in that one?
Charles Dance. You mean it's got Tywin Lannister in it? Oh wow.
No, who was the woman? What was her name? I can't see
Probably
it.
her.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, hang on, where's
Yeah, she's she's still pretty good looking actually.
Yeah, it's an old movie now, but
Yeah.
back
When
in the
did that
day,
Maxie, that was back in the early 90s or 80s, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. But when you said Cyborgs Gone Wild, that was the immediate scene that popped into my head, so I had to share it.
Yeah. Oh, we lost John Hoops.
That is no surprise.
He probably was lagging.
Yeah.
Because he did sound very robotic.
Yeah.
And we don't allow robots on the Cyborg stream.
No, we don't. Maybe the occasional android, but yeah, no robots. Yeah.
Phoenix is a very old movie. Like,
Yeah, it is really old movie. It's 30 years old at least, I think.
Shit.
96.
Surprised it isn't in black and white.
Yeah. No, it was colored, Dizzy. Oh, good.
I wonder if Creaky's.
Kunstler, you can get on here with us if you want. Oh,
I gave him the link. Usually he joins us
yeah.
in the after party, so I just linked it to him.
Put the link in the.
My name's Jeff.
It's clearly a high quality movie because it got 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
15% for the critic score or the audience?
Yeah, 15% for the critic score.
What was the audience score?
Well, 89% of people, Google users, liked it. So
Cool. Yeah, that critic score, that thing to me is worthless. I mean, seriously. I mean, if people like it, it's got a high score there. That's more important, I think, to me. Anyway, that's our girl right there. And this one right here, this is our Rosa right here. This is who made it happen, Jack. I mean, this lady pulled it off. And this is why she's got to be in the next movie. I mean, I don't think any of the folks that went after that part, a couple of those actresses were pretty accomplished. One of them was the actress that played Spider-Man, Tom Holland, Spider-Man's girlfriend. I can't remember her name now. She went out. She tried for this part.
Zendaya?
I'm going to look it up.
Zendaya.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she tried out for the part, and
Where did I pull that piece of information from?
I saw that on. Where did I see that?
Oh, she's in The Greatest Showman as well.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember where I saw that, Maxie. But yeah, I did see it. I did. Yeah, Rosa and Maze Runner. She was also in Divergent too. Oops, that's. Yeah, she was in. She was.
I'm sharing screen.
Okay.
I'm not going to even read it without sharing it with you guys. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Meet the 4 actresses in the running to play
There
the
you
leader Battle Angel.
Yep.
According to the Hollywood Reporter, 4 actors have tested for the title role, blah, blah, blah. Micah Monroe being one of them.
Yeah.
I think her most recent film was in Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the one and only.
Yep.
Zendaya, as we just mentioned.
Yep.
And who's the 4th? Oh, really?
I don't believe I know her. The Zendaya would have probably done an okay job, you know. I mean, she's pretty good, you know, but yeah, Rose is gonna be the best, I think.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
stare at that picture in private for a while. No.
yeah. Yeah, Rose is number 1 in my book, Jack. She always gets 4 hearts from me. If I get on Facebook or on Twitter, I put 4 hearts on it every time. So.
Yep.
So anyway, why is this image here? Well, you guys know why it's here, because I like it. And to paraphrase,
You're running.
Yeah.
Because you're running the stream, and what you say goes.
Yeah, that's right. Since I'm doing it, yeah. And to paraphrase Gwishka, I am only here for our girl and the Alita Army. So anyway, that's it. That's Alita's strength and her fighting ability and speed and all that good stuff.
For a topic that that we've covered a few times, we've done it like often enough that but each time in a different way. So it's still kind of, I wouldn't say fresh, but it's kept it interesting each time that we go over it. Or is it just me?
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to look up how much Alita weighs, and then because I was thinking, like, I'm not being dirty or anything like that, but like if she was cuddling Hugo and lying on him, it would turn him into a pancake. But then I'm like, what happens? What happens when she's lying on Ito after she does the handstand? Wouldn't half of him be a bloody pancake?
You would think so if she weighed 300 pounds.
I'm reading she could be 700 to 800 pounds.
That's possible, you know. Well, I think if she was like 700 to 800 pounds, I don't think Hugo could have helped her up when he tackled her, you know, in front of the Centurion.
Yeah.
But he did say, "Ooh, you're heavy," which is a stupid thing for a guy to say to a girl he just meets. But anyway, you know, he lifts her up like that, and you know, of course, he sees her and goes, "Oh wow,"
Just remember the dead weight is different from like active weight. So. Alita may have been leaning on Ido, but she wouldn't have been putting her full weight on him.
Yeah, that's possible.
Because she's still awake. She's active. She's not a dead weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that cat wouldn't be there anymore if she was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's a good point Lee Lemon brings up. You know, if she sits on a chair or something, collapse.
What's the chair rated at? Or the bench
exactly.
that she lies on? You know, there's so many things.
Well, looking at the technological differences between the first 2 bodies in the movie, the first one had when the panels were off, you could see all the mechanisms and things in there, and it was a lot of machinery, a lot of physical, mechanical, metal components. So there would have been a fair bit of weight to that. So what Hugo said was quite reasonable in that, yes, that body would be quite heavy. Now, a body made of nanomaterial could be quite light because it could well be that a lot of it is actually open space, vacant space.
Yeah.
And nanites generally made from a carbon.
Yeah.
Or carbon strings, like carbon nanotubes.
Yeah.
So carbon isn't nearly as heavy as most metals.
Yeah, that's right.
So I would suspect that the Berserker body could be lighter than the doll body.
That's possible, you know.
Well, yeah. I was just thinking that because, when he picks her up, he's like, "Geez, you're heavy," but then on the other one, it's fine. Like, just lies on Ito. Like, no dramas. And like you were saying, it's more the body one looks more mechanical with all the gears and all the crap on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, those nanites might help with that too, right?
Well, I mean, it's again an active pose versus a dead weight. It should be heavier as a dead weight, but I suspect that she's able to lean on somebody without putting nearly her full weight on them.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, if now granted, this is a movie, but if I had been there and helped her up, I could have picked her up easy. I mean, seriously, I know I could do it.
Yeah, maybe her version on the rubbish dump. Even Ito could pick her up.
Well, that's right. But my point is though, I think Hugo, he's a little bit of a wimp, in terms of physical strength, so he would certainly say, yeah, you're heavy, but somebody that lifts weights might say, well, you got some girth to you, but you're not heavy. Something like that, So anyway, just my thoughts on that one. So.
That's how, like, most martial artists trained.
Yeah.
If they're grabbed by like a judo, a jiu-jitsu, a wrestler, they basically go dead weight, limp, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot more harder for them to throw you over the hip and whatnot and perform their style, because your mass is a lot more.
Yeah.
Isn't that what a keto is, using their body against them or something? Their body weight?
Well, it goes further than that, in the sense that it like in a way manipulates their physics, in the sense that, like, it's not just, they'll try to not just try to manipulate your body weight, but in the dynamic of a fight, that's where they take it a step further.
Yeah.
In the sense that, at least with Aikido anyway, or from my very limited understanding, because I've never studied it.
Well, I know with jiu-jitsu, they have a way that they can apply techniques, they can throw you, or, they got the one leg and two leg takedown and that thing they call the crab claw and stuff like that. But, there are styles though that do practice, defensive techniques against that too. So, but anyway, that's, at that point, weight doesn't really matter that much, if you've got the correct technique. Now, if somebody weighs super duper heavy and they go limp, like you say, I don't care what technique you got. If you don't have the physical strength, you're not going to be able to take them off their feet. So, anyway.
Yeah. There's and I know this because I did dabble in jiu-jitsu, but there's one move is when you as the target gets thrown onto the ground, but as you're throwing on the ground, because you're being spun over the hip, you're using the centrifugal, if that's what you call it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the spinning motion, the spinning momentum, of being thrown onto the ground and continuing that momentum to then turn it on your opponent who's throwing you onto the ground and throw them onto the ground. With that momentum, it's you have to see it in action to, like, sort of understand what I'm saying. But
I've seen it in action.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But I can remember we had one of the grab arts that we did. It was called Grab Art 5. It was kind of like that, Angelus, where somebody grab you and try you'd throw them over. They'd try to throw you, but you'd throw them. So I mean, it's a similar thing. So, but it's all technique. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, guys. Well, anyway, that's what I got on Alita in terms of her abilities there. And, we've kind of gone over her abilities several times, but I don't think we've done it to the level of detail that we've done here. I think particularly her fighting skill, So I'm like you, Angelus. I'm always interested in what her physical abilities are like that,
Well, it's like sort of researching and mostly theorizing.
Yeah.
But looking into topic or a subject that we love. So it's not even study. It's something that you want to read up on. It's something that you want to see. Much like an Alita trilogy franchise. is something that we want to see if Disney's listening in. But anyway,
I don't know if Disney's going to be listening to this stream or not, but you never know, I guess. But
well, if we're gonna bring Cran into the stream, then I'll like mention Cran as we always do. There was that one time where she accidentally let slip the tongue when Tainted was watching last Radio Chaos episode.
Yeah. Well, it did. I guess it didn't. I guess it didn't hurt Alita then, did it?
Well, apparently that guy who I think his name's Ken, who is the Tainted rep, he's an Aussie, so he's cool with it.
From Perth, actually. I'm pretty sure.
So he knows about those big ass spiders, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he's from the area where that octopus was beating on that guy. So.
Just before we wrap up, Jeff, I can see your name in chat. I did send you that link. I mean, I know Creaky linked it earlier, but I sent it to you in Discord DM as well. So check that out. You've got several sources. There's now no excuse for you not to be at least on in the after party. So
yeah. There's the link right there, guys. Before we do wrap up the stream, though, now Maxie, you're going to be the host tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, if I can remember how to do it.
Yeah, I bet you can.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of practice. So
yeah.
I'll be right.
Yeah.
No, it's more like just being a little bit nervous because we haven't had a special guest on for a while.
Yeah. Oh,
you'll be right, mate. You kill it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I am excited big time. I mean, I was excited when Demetrius Polito was on. That was pretty cool, I mean, but, I'm excited about this one too, So,
Boy, Maxie, why don't you see if Mike can come on? He could share the load. He's pretty good.
That's why he's got me doing his heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Sharing the load.
Yeah. When he remembers.
Dizzy's taking the piss out of you. That's all I could say.
But anyway,
well, it's situation normal then, isn't it?
So anyway, what we're going to do, I guess, right, Maxie, correct me if I'm wrong. We got a set of questions, I guess, set up for Tilly. We want her to feel welcomed, and we're gonna treat her right, and you're gonna have a good interview with her, and then after that, we're actually going to talk about Nova, so and we're not going to be limited to movie Nova. I mean, we can talk to several versions of it in the manga and that kind of stuff too. So
it's going to be a monster stream, I've got to say.
I think so, yeah.
There's a bit of interesting news too, isn't there, Angelos? There's a few good Looper articles and things.
Oh, yes.
So there's plenty to go over. I sent a list of 25 questions that were collated from the Alita Army through Twitter and DMs and stuff. Thank you to Angelos for throwing those together. But I also had some sent to me by Alita Law and PM because he doesn't like putting his questions out on a public tweet. So I found those afterwards and had to resend. But 25 questions with sub-questions have gone off to Tilly's mum. Ken had a look at them and said they looked awesome, so I don't think there's going to be any problems with any of them. But I've put the name where I could next to the person who posed the question. We'll also be taking questions from chat, but do please keep them age appropriate as Tilly is 15. And also do please be respectful. We want to get more special guests on, so we got to be nice to these people. There's no other option.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to treat Tilly really nice. I mean, I mean, she's she deserves respect of what she's gone through and everything, and just seeing her on YouTube and stuff like that, and on some of the videos on Twitter. I mean, to me, she strikes me as a very good person. So,
And yeah, so that's only for about 30 minutes, but I think it's going to stretch longer than that because she's probably going to have a lot of fun and not jump off until we run out of questions. And I think there's more than 30 minutes of questions there. Yeah. So if she elaborates at all on any of them, then yeah, it'll be more than 30 minutes. But once we get through that, then we'll do the news, and then we'll move on to the main topic, which is about Nova. And that is all the Novas. So there will be lots of spoilers. We can talk about movie Nova and how he differs from manga Nova and where we think he might end up going. And
one
we
extra
can also,
Nova missing.
As long as he has Flan.
Yeah.
Yes, well, it needs to be Flan. So I will also mention that we're having Nick Osborne, Comic Watch chief editor, on for that stream as well. Nice. In the fluster with all of the stuff for Tilly coming on, I hadn't even mentioned that he was coming on yet, but the ad's going out soon, so everybody will see it there. And also Alita Law and Foxfire will be on to give their takes on Nova, the Man, the Mission, and the Conquest of Karma. So that should be fun, considering that Alita Law's name on Twitter is actually Karmatron Dynamics. So obviously he knows a lot about that because he's using the name, right, Alita Law?
Yeah.
There's one Nova missing.
Welcome, Raul. How's it going, Raul? You kind of showed up here.
I know that. Hello, Mr. Muscovy, Angelas, Mr. Creek, and this gentleman again. Dennis, I think. Hello, what's doing, people?
Hey,
Hello. We've been talking for a couple of hours, and we're about to bugger off, but just got it.
I know that.
That's right. Stick around for the after party.
Hey, yeah. I think Angelus was working on a punchline there for about 3 minutes now because he keeps saying there's another Nova. So let him say his piece. What other Nova is it, Angelus?
Supernova.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, the one with the 3 MIB chips.
Yeah, he is one of the other Novas in Last Order, yes.
Yes, he is.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's not there, though. It's just Movie Nova and then normal Nova.
Yeah.
Well,
Super Saiyan Nova.
Super Saiyan Nova. Good description, actually. Yeah, well, I threw a lot of pictures of Nova that I had into a folder. I'm not sure if he was in there or not. But yeah, we'll make sure that we cover the whole gamut because I'm sure Alita Law will have something to say about all of them.
Well, now.
And Chef Nova, yeah, we can't forget Chef Nova. Flan is victory.
Yes, it is. Okay.
And as Dizzy likes to say, Flan is love. Flan is love.
Flan is love. Well, no, Dizzy likes to say beer is love. That's what he likes to say.
Speaking of Nova, I got some really nice feedback from a guy through Reddit, which is unusual because usually Reddit uses the bottom feeders of replies, but this guy was really articulate, and he was saying you even found a way to make Flan logical in relation to Nova. That was epic. So that was in the recent chapter of my Flanfic. So
yeah, this is some Nova thing.
Is that fan or Flan fix?
Yes, it is.
He specifically says it as Flanfic.
I like it.
All right, guys, let me bring the stream to a close. So,
righty.
Anyway, so had a lot of fun.
So everybody get along to the stream tomorrow. I want to see it break 50. I'd like to see it break 100, but at least 50.
Yeah, 50 would be great, wouldn't it? Oh, I'd love it.
As long as it breaks 99.
Be positive.
Be kind of neat if it was 99 on the nose, wouldn't it? That would.
It would be.
Screenshot.
Okay, well, let me do the call. Let me go do the call to action, and like we do not only on the Radio Chaos stream, but we do that here too. So on my count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Bye,
baby.